Hello guys, Moritz here, and we have reached 5,000 subscribers, so many thanks to you guys for the support and everything. And today, in this special video, we are going to modify this lamp, and for that we are going to use an ESP8266 and some RGB LED strips. But the special thing about these ones is that they actually have an RGB and a white LED, because this light can only do a warm white color and you can dim it down and increase the brightness, and that's all it can do. So we are going to RGBify it. Let's get started.
The lamp itself features a touch button at the top, a charging port at the back and two little holes for the charging indicator LED and a reset button. But let's take it apart. Looking around, I couldn't find any screws, so I removed the foam pad at the bottom of the lamp, which revealed a screw. But be careful removing it, because it is very fragile. After removing the screw, the top of the lamp could be lifted a bit. By pushing the plastic shade off to the side, there's another screw holding the base and light assembly in place. After removing that, I could lift the cover with a small screwdriver and the whole lamp came apart. As a safety precaution, I removed the batteries by unplugging the connector with the help of a screwdriver. Then I took out the logic board, which was held in with two screws, and pulled off the plastic shade. After desoldering the wire going to the touch plate, I removed the existing LED strips. Using these, I measured the length I need for the new digital LED strips. I then cut 4 pieces of the same length. Then I removed the plastic film on the back to reveal the adhesive backing and attached them in a specific configuration to the metal extrusion, so that the first strip starts with its data input at the bottom and the next one at the top, alternating. Then I pre-tinned all the data connections of the strips and the power connections at the bottom of them. After that, I cut some small wires and attached the data out pin of each strip to the data in pin to the strips to the right, except for the last one. I then also added a longer wire to the data input of the first strip. Next, I added 2 power wires to the first strip and distributed power from there to the other ones, using thicker wires than for the data lines. Here you can take a closer look at all of the connections. There you can see the data wires in blue, positive wires in red and ground wires in black. Since we won't need the old logic board anymore, we will use our favorite charging board, the TP4056, and an ESP8266 as our brain. But before we can continue, we should check if everything fits inside the existing enclosure. And yup, everything fits. But we will have to modify the ESP a little bit later on. But first we will solder on a small JST connector to the charging board, so we can easily connect and disconnect the battery. Now it's a good time to start coding some basic things for the light and upload that to the ESP with wireless programming or OTA enabled, so we can still modify the code wirelessly. Then I removed all the headers, the button and the micro USB connector to make the ESP smaller in size. To fit the ESP underneath the charging board, I had to remove some studs and plastic bits inside the lamp base. Now everything fits nicely in there. Since I didn't get the touch button at the top to work, I will remove the wire going to it and add a small SMD push button instead. To get it off, I pushed a small screwdriver through the hole underneath the plate. After attaching some long wires and feeding them through the top and the metal extrusion, I glued the button with some hot glue in place. Then I just pushed the metal plate back on, putting the thicker part onto the button. In order to save power, I made a little board containing a transistor, a MOSFET and 2 resistors, with which I can turn the power of the LED strip on and off. You can pause now for the schematic as well as the schematic of the whole lamp. After connecting the switchboard and the charging board, we are ready to start the assembly of the lamp. I started by sliding over the plastic shade and adding the top part of the bottom compartment. Then you need to make sure that that part is aligned with the lamp, so that the 2 screws holding the strap in place are at the side of the lamp and the charging port is at the back. The screw of the compartment should also be at the back. Then it was time to connect everything to the ESP. After making sure everything works, we can finally fit the electronics inside the base and put the lamp back together. To fit the electronics, I had to cut off the edges of the charging board, but be careful doing that, because you can damage the copper traces. Using some hot glue, I glued everything in place. Then I assembled the lamp, but I had to burn a hole into the base to fit the wires through. Then I screwed in the bottom screw and the lamp is done. This time I won't go over the code in much detail, but the lamp can either be controlled with the button at the top or via a UDP socket where you can send data for each LED. For the button, a single click turns the light on and off, a double click switches the mode between white light and colored light, holding the button will increase or decrease the brightness, and in color mode a double click and hold will change the hue. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe. Oh, and also don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified on new videos. Bye!